I love the just the way the industry is evolving. It's evolving faster than any other industry. So,
and yeah, just that ability to just be creative. You know, we can pick up the phone and call beats and go, right, let's do something with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's go. I think over 24 hours, we had like 4 million followers.
You don't know anybody in the industry. You want to get a job in the industry. What are you going to do to get that job? Hello, I'm James Jefferson Loveday, and welcome to Careers Badger, the show where we hear from real professionals who share their personal stories, insights, and advice for the benefit of you guys. Today, we are talking careers in social media. We are all on it, be it Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, or LinkedIn, and it's become essential for organizations to be on it to engage with their customers. With me today, I have Tola Alaid, CEO at Marmalade Collective, and Joseph O'Connor, Senior Talent Manager and Creative at 10 Toes Media, both experts in social media and who have crafted their careers within it. So, can you guys just start us off? Talk us through careers in social media. What does it actually mean? Joe, can you start us off on that, please?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, it's a career that wasn't around 10, 15 years ago, probably. But it's everywhere, as you said in the introduction there, it's everywhere within companies, brands, and talent, sports talent, entertainment talent. It's a way to reach customers, reach fans instantly, rather than probably, back in the day, it was all photographers and whatever capturing media for celebrities, whereas the celebrities and so on now can put out their own press. So that, I mean, it is just everywhere at the moment. Yeah.
and just to build on that as well, as you said, it's this shift from, media being controlled by, a very small pocket of publishers. Now, actually, it's been democratized to a point where basically everyone has got a say, and everyone basically is in charge of how they build and how they shape their brand. So in terms of careers, this definitely wasn't a thing, even as far back as, I would say, 10 years ago. I mean, it was sort of around, but it wasn't as, I guess, defined as what we've got today. And today you've got all sorts of strands. You've got the the paid social people, you've got influencers, you've got brand managers, you've got this, you've got that, and it's just evolving and growing.
I really like that. And I think it would do us wonders if you can just sort of talk to us specifically about what your job roles are and what you actually do. So Tola, can you start us off on that, please?
So my background has always been in branding, and design. And naturally, as we started to communicate more on social, I kind of saw that shift where branding has gone beyond just, I guess, logos and messaging and brand strategy, and actually it's this merger of it becoming a lot more democratized, as I said before. So I basically just saw the shift, and I decided to basically transition my agency from being solely focused on designs and crafting stories and brand messaging into actually operating primarily on social. And of course, the sea of social is huge. So we thought, right, how can we stand out in this I guess landscape of just multiple agencies doing very similar sort of offerings. So I just went back to my background, which is, I'm African, and I'm an African that has grown up over here in the West, and just over the last few years, I've seen the sort of increase and the rise in African culture influencing Western mainstream in music and fashion, and like people that probably didn't know about certain African artists back then now do, and we're starting to see these collaborations. So I said that to say, I then decided to basically start Marmalade, and Marmalade basically connects brands with talent that can unlock underserved audiences. So as opposed to a brand going directly to an audience and trying to adapt their messaging, why not just work with these influencers that pretty much already have the access to these audiences? So in essence, we are an influencer marketing agency that help brands connect with audiences.
I like
and we
that.
do that with influencers.
So have you got relationships with a number of influencers, and then brands approach you to utilize those influencers to promote their messages to the influencers' audience?
Pretty much.
Can you just give us, just for explanation's sake, can you give us an example of a client potentially and what they've done and how they've used you to promote a certain message?
Sure. So we're in talks with a beauty brand. I can't really mention the names because it's still a lot of clients that we work with sometimes don't want that. So there's a beauty brand that we're working with, a global brand known, and they basically come to us because they're looking to tap into, I guess, diverse audiences, black and so ethnic minority audiences, and we're helping them find influencers that just by themselves they would have never discovered them or even known about them. So we basically help them find these influencers based on their brief, and influencers that actually match their requirements as well, and pretty much manage the entire campaign from start to finish. There's a luxury brand which I'm happy to name drop because I know they'll be fine with that. Working with a Cartier at the moment. What we're doing with them specifically, I can't really go into too much, but working with all sorts of brands from all different works, but it's primarily around fashion, beauty, around music, around food and drinks, and we're starting to work with a few people in tech as well.
Joe, can you talk us through what you actually do?
Yeah, so I work for an agency. We've got 15 footballers, sort of global footballers, and my role is I look after day-to-day about five footballers, posting social media posts for them. I work with brands to help broaden their PR and their presence. And yeah, we also do some commercial work for the footballers as well. So it's quite a broad spectrum of what we actually do. So to service a player, we do day-to-day management, and yeah, work with, we've got a commercial team that goes out and tries to bring in commercial deals for them as well. And then we also work with magazines such as Gaffer, Soccer Bible, and then also online platforms such as Sport Bible, Lab Bible, 433, all of whom have got, audiences from 15 million to 28 million. So the reason that we work with them is similar to the influencer thing, but you just open up your player to a broader audience that you probably wouldn't be able to reach if it was just to your domestic, to their domestic league.
And is the benefit for the player in having you doing all this work for them that they're going to be better known and potentially able to access better deals? What's the benefit for the player?
So yeah, the benefit of the player, a lot of them don't really have a structure. It's sort of, they would just post randomly at random times. And the whole thing about social and building somebody's social profile is it has to be consistent. The theme has to be consistent. So whether that's using a filter or having a tone of voice is really important. But what we try and do is just gain exposure, build their profile, bring out their personality a bit more, because a lot of them struggle with to do that. You've had it. If you've got Instagram up, you sort of go blank, don't you? You just go, oh, do I do something funny? Do I do something serious? So it's just helping them with that and keeping everything consistent. And then once all that's sort of put into place, we can develop commercial activity off the back of it. But it is building in a tone of voice for them. And yeah, as I said before, that consistency.
Can I push you to name drop, or are we not allowed to do that?
No, we can do that. Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, yeah.
Go on, let us hear it.
At the moment, Phil Foden, who will be England's best ever player, I reckon. He's going to properly break into the Man City team at the start of next season, although he's doing so at the moment, and he's doing really well. Andy Robertson, Liverpool player, title winner, and a joy of mine, as I'm obviously a Liverpool fan. But no, he's good. We've just signed an American kid who plays for Red Bull Leipzig out in Germany, called Tyler Adams. So really excited to work with him. He's a 21-year-old, really, really cool. So we've got some big ideas for him, some big plans.
Too much. We just assume that it's always the person behind the account posting. Just talk us through that one.
Well, I mean, that's what you want. You want it to seem authentic. You want it to seem natural. You don't want it to seem like there's somebody doing it.
Yeah.
And I think the people that aren't interested, they probably get their agent to do it, or that's when you see the generic captions and the generic post, and it's all it's out of time. It's not, you know, the right, because we've got all these data guys as well that tell us the optimum time to post. What days are best to post, all that sort of stuff. So without all that, and without a real strategy behind it, you can't, because you've got to see these players as brands as well. You know, if you're especially developing a commercial opportunity, they've got to be seen as a brand. So how would you build a brand? You wouldn't just let anybody, you know, be the image of the player and just post whatever. You'd have to have a real strategy in place. And
was this always the plan? Can you just talk us through, you know, at school, what your aspirations were, what you went on to do after school, you know, and that journey, please, and what's led you to where you are today? Tola, can you start us off there, please?
So my background actually was in architecture. So I've always, and prior to that, you know, I was very, I guess, creatively artistic, where I could draw or I could design. So of course, social was never on the radar then. This was back then, but architecture kind of really gave me a background of, one, understanding how things are made and things are built and how things actually come together. Because I've got a lot of friends that are creatives, and they are creatives that sort of lack that structure and discipline behind them. So just going through an architecture course just gave me that really solid background in terms of understanding the dynamics between all the different elements of how things actually come together. I would work with clients, and they would say, right, we've got this piece of logo, we've got this messaging, we've got this campaign done, idea looks great. How do we get this message out to more people? And the usual way was always, you know, can we invest in some paid search through Google? Can we invest in some AdWords? Can we invest in some billboards and some stuff? And over time, brands or clients I was working with started to feel a lot more comfortable, I guess, working with influencers. And it just made me, naturally, I thought, as opposed to almost passing them onto someone else to say, hey, can you work with them to try and bring this message into life? I thought, why don't we kind of just, you know, evolve into, I guess, a company that also works with influencers, helping these brands amplify the messaging. Most of the traditional ways of marketing they're not completely dead, but they're slowing down, because Gen Z and you know, just Gen Z they just don't watch TV. You know, like a lot of their consumption comes from, you know, TV comes from social media, through YouTube or through all sorts of platforms. So it just makes natural sense to, I guess, you know, evolve.
You know, I was that classic case of not having a clue. When we'd left school, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, what I wanted to get into. Always been into sport, alwa't been a fan of sport, played sport. So I knew that was always an interest, but I didn't know how to get into it, you know. And we had a gap year, then went to uni. And the reason I chose a business and property degree, of course, and I've no idea why I chose that. The only thing I can think of is my dad was getting into property at the time, so I was like, okay, if he's doing that, I'll just do it. And I mean, there were parts of it I enjoyed, but I really didn't enjoy my time at uni. I mean, you know, apart from the social side, the actual academic side, I just found it too boring. So I think in the last year of my course, I started to do some internships at football agencies. Because again, yeah, it was sort of just dawning on me more that I love football. I love that whole industry, and it's the only thing that excites me, and it's the only thing that I know everything about, really, you know. So I started to do that, and then when I left uni, I totally abandoned my degree, and I've not done anything with property at all, and I went to work for the football agency. So I did that for a little while. Unfortunately, it just wasn't sustainable to stay there because they just weren't paying enough. So I moved on to, it's like a tech startup company. And this is sort of where it all joins together, because when I was at the tech startup company, you know, I was seeing this social media movement, and like seeing firms that are trying to rival YouTube, and you know, and we're talking to YouTube every day. So you're getting that conversation, and you go, Christ, this is bigger than anyone thinks, you know, and the offices are amazing. So that started to get, you know, started to tickle my fancy as well in that sense. And then I went to a football match, Man United, Liverpool. And as I said before, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I sat next to this guy, and he said, oh, I work for this company called XIX Entertainment, but I'm starting my own management company. I was like, okay, who's at XIX Entertainment? He's like, well, we've got Andy Murray, Lewis Hamilton, David Beckham, Bradley Wiggins. We had the Spice Girls. So I was going, okay, wow. So he goes, but I'm starting my own one. It's like a sports management company. So we're going to be a football agency. We're going to have a commercial team. We're going to do that. We're going to do PR. And I was like, right, okay, there's my passport. There's my national insurance number. I'll be a T-boy. I'll work for free. Just bring me along with you. I don't mind, you know. Anyway, took all my details. I think it was about 3 months I didn't hear anything. Then out of the blue, his girlfriend, who actually worked at XX as well, emailed me, and she was just like, I hear you want to get into sport, something's come up. So I was like, perfect, okay. So got on my bike, cycled down. I told work that I had a dentist appointment, cycled to the offices, and they were like, right, Lewis Hamilton's in the other door. He's going to be the one that you're going to work for if you get it. So I'm like, right, okay. So let's go and have the interview. So just, sat down with Lewis, had a little chat, managed to get on with him. I managed to blag it enough, I think, to be able to get the job. And I got the job. And then that was, he wanted a new website built, and he needed help with his social media, because I think a few weeks before, he'd done a really bad post about Jensen Button. He thought Jensen Button didn't follow him on Twitter. So he was like, oh yeah, we're meant to be teammates and you don't even follow me. And everyone just went, no, he does follow you, because he didn't understand it, you know.
Oh my God.
So we need the XX, the management company, were like, right, you need someone doing it. And I sort of led on. I said that I knew more about social than I actually did, but it managed to work out okay. So I did that for about 2 years. He's a very interesting fella.
Come on, give us some stories. What we got about Lewis?
Well, no, I remember I went on a photo shoot with him once, and it was where he had his private jet, and we're in hair and makeup, and he'd mentioned this to me before. He said, "Yeah, I'm recording an album," and I was like, "Oh God, okay, all right." He's like, come and take a listen. So I'm like, I'm having to sit there while he's got his iPhone out, and I'm going, yeah. And you don't want to be too like, oh mate, that is unbelievable. Right. But you can't say it's rubbish either. So it's like, yeah, man, that's not bad. But he didn't obviously get what he wanted from me. So he had to go over to the girl that did his hair and was like, what do you think? And then she was like, that was unbelievable. I did that for about 2 years. And then after that, he actually left our company to go and do his own thing. So I was sort of at odds and ends. I was like, I don't know, am I going to lose a job? Am I out of a job? Like what? And then luckily got moved on to David Beckham, which again was incredible. Really, really good fun. We had a good time. And that's where he didn't have Instagram at the time, and he only had Facebook. And for someone, he had like 50 million followers on Facebook, but he had no social strategy whatsoever, like at all. And this was like 2015 maybe that I went there, 2014, 15. And he had no social strategy. So we got him ready to launch for Instagram. And when you looked at his Facebook thing, it was branded post. Because I think he had about 10 brands that he was contracted to. So it was just all brand. And for fans, you know, it's just not interesting them just posting a link of what
fake.
They're up to.
Fake money
it's
making.
fake. Yeah, exactly. You know, but you know, he's got a fashion brand. He had a H&M deal, Coca-Cola, a Pepsi deal, a watch deal. He had all these things, but nothing sort of in between to break all that up. And you need to build a fan base before you can just lob a load of, you know, branding and advertising and stuff for people to buy into, because they've got to believe it's real and that it's you. So yeah, but we launched his Instagram, which was incredible. Worked with them for quite a while leading up to it, and we did it on his 40th birthday, and that was in the Guinness Book of Records as the fastest growing Instagram page. I think over 24 hours we had like 4 million followers, which was incredible. And then yeah, I did that for about 2 or 3 years working with him, and then it got to the point where when I was working with Lewis, it was so exciting because every week or every other week there's a race, and you know, there's qualifying, there's you know, trips to the garage and stuff. It's so working with David, because he was retired. It's, you know, I missed that sort of buzz of something happening every week and something different happening. So yeah, I left XIX and then went to 9024. Where, yeah, I think at one time I had about 7 or 8 players that I was personally working with. And yeah, that was a real good learning curve for me as well, because not only organisation-wise, you know, it's tough to manage that many players and have that many sets of tones of voice. It's sort of quite tough to keep on top of. But that was a really good learning curve. Met some great people there that taught me a lot. And they sort of allowed me to be a bit more creative.
Yeah. Did you, just to clarify, is the holy grail in social media management, whatever, the viral post, having a post go viral? Is that like the be all and end all?
Yeah, well, not the be all and end all at all. I think building up an audience is important, and having a consistent theme and tone of voice. That getting players on board with that is tough. But I mean, getting the odd viral post is definitely one that you know, gives you a little butterfly. It's and it's always nice to sort of brag about. Yeah, I did that. Don't worry, I did that.
Yeah.
So
Fair
it's
enough.
good.
I think for me, it's definitely slightly different. I think for me, the holy grail in social, I guess, or the ultimate sort of goal is to be able to actually shape and shift culture, just using these you know, very simple tools like creating content and amplifying a small piece of content using, you know, a number of influences. I mean, a perfect example is a Fire, you know, the Fire Festival.
Yeah. Fire Festival.
That was a weird case study because it actually worked. They just didn't deliver because yeah. But in terms of the actual social media, without social media and the actual influences,
Yeah,
I don't think it would have gotten as big as it probably did.
if only.
Sola, can you just talk us through, like, what does a typical day look like? I know you run your own agency, but just talk us through your typical day. What do you do on a typical day?
So I've got a small team of 4 people. So we've got a talent manager, we've got two designers. There's myself and there's my business partner who's in charge of, I guess, PR and marketing. So small team. Every day, I'm probably one of those creatives that, yes, you know, I can work with ideas, you know, on the fly and come up with stuff. But I'm also I believe in processes and structure.
Yeah, you're very organized, aren't you? He uses this website and everything is like in color coded, how far he's got along, and
like a Gantt chart, like showing you where you are at different projects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. And so my day basically kicks off with me having a look at all the different projects going on, and each project basically has like a sub task in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And basically, so probably the first half of the day, it's kind of just update calls with, I guess, clients and updating them on, I guess, progress and I guess what we're working on for the week. And then the other half of the day, I guess, is also catching up with a lot of the talent that we represent and we work with as well. So, influencers, because with influencers, I guess relationship is absolutely key. Like they can do this with anyone else they choose to work with. So one, and then two, also they never like to feel like they're the product. So you always have to almost maintain that I guess human side of what we're doing. Because fine, they do get paid in return for their, I don't know, their channels or their looks or their whatever they do or their talents. But they also want to feel like you see them as human first. Probably a small piece of time, I guess, jumping onto social to just see what's going on. Respond to, I guess, catch up on what's going on throughout the day. But
yeah, I mean, it's never really, because it's with footballers, it's never really the same. Or they've got training all day, so you're not really talking to them that much during the day. That's always out of hours. I mean, you'll know me, James. It's the weekend, it's the evening, and it's always on your phone because that's sort of when they're about or when they've played a game. So I think the week is more about planning for it, being as organized and as organized as possible. So, for example, my guy in Portugal, I have to get his stuff translated because I obviously don't speak Portuguese, but having all the captions sort of ready for every little outcome, so it's getting ready for that. Always updating their strategy. What can we be doing more of? What can we be doing less of? Always analysing what we've done, how that past month's gone, the highlights, lowlights, sending out reports to the agents, to the players. And then what we also do is, at the moment, for example, I'm doing a campaign with Instagram TV. So it's coming up with ideas for a series with Instagram TV using our footballers. So it's concepting, and coming up with ideas for that. So I mean, it's different every day, but a lot of conversations with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Then it's conversations with agents, the players' brothers, because they all seem to be involved. It's a lot of talking, but also just making sure that you're up to date on all the latest trends.
Yeah.
I mean, TikTok for me is just still a bit mind-boggling, and I'm trying to get my head around that every day. Talking to as many people, just trying to go, right, what is going on here? Because I just don't get it at the moment, but it's so popular. But finding out that they've got $200 million to spend on influencers and content creators, it's like, okay, well, we should maybe look at that then, as another strand that we can put to some of the players in our strategies. But yeah, it's mainly just keeping on top of everything that everyone is doing online, and it is a bit. It does get a bit non-stop sometimes, because you are always on your phone and always on the go because social moves at such a fast pace. Instagram have just released Reels. Now, I knew about that about 2 months before it got released, only because we're talking to them the whole time. And, you like, okay, maybe we can get our players on this. Let's come up with a concept, how we can do this, that, the other. So, yeah, it's just, it's a lot of being on top of stuff. People want us to plan posts, and it's like, you can't do it because a lot of the time the reactive stuff is the best stuff, at least for me anyway, but maybe that's just because I'm unorganized. But that always seems to be the better thing for me, I think, just reacting to because then say something happened in a game, my player scored the best goal ever. You can't plan for that. But if he did a celebration that was so mental, then you can just react to it straight away. You just can't plan for certain things, I don't think, especially in sport.
I like that a lot. So let's just talk about your favourite parts of the industry, your favourite things that you get up to on a daily basis. Tola, what's the best bit about being in this career for you?
So mine, it's just the freedom to just create and see that instant impact. Like, I'm one of those weird, and I think Joe's the same as well, where if I work on something, I need to see the results almost instantly. I understand delayed gratification and all that, but when it comes to work, I like to see the impact of everything I'm working on. And with social, Like there's nothing quicker than, if something's bad, they'll let you know instantly. If it's great, they'll let you know instantly as well. So I think it's the instant feedback I love about it. Also, I love the just the way the industry is evolving. It's evolving faster than any other industry. So it's forcing everyone to be more creative, be more innovative, be more just to stay on the ball and be absolutely sharp. So yeah, I think those are my favorite bits about, well, and then the third, I guess, is just hanging out with influencers and celebrities that some people, I guess, worship online. So like I get to literally have them on speed dial and just talk to them whenever, we can go out socially sometimes, and just it's like it's such a, pardon the pun, it's such a social industry as well.
Well, just being in football for me is the one. Like, how much I've always loved football. And yeah, just that ability to just be creative. We can pick up the phone and call beats and go, right, let's do something with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's go. Let's come. Just that. Yeah, I suppose it is that freedom to just, be creative and so on. But getting a viral post for me is very enjoyable. I love that.
Viral again.
Yeah, well, I'd tell you one actually. So when Liverpool won the league, they were watching the game all together in Formby Hall Hotel in Liverpool. It was Man City versus Chelsea, and if Chelsea beat City, Liverpool won the league, right, without having to play. Now, we'd given them all a plan of like, okay, what we'll do is this, we'll do this, takes photos of all you together. About 2 minutes before the final whistle, I get a text off Andy Robertson, going, "Hi mate, the gaffers said that we can't post selfies." So I'm like, right, all of our plans are out the window, and he's given me 2 minutes. So yeah, I'm going, what do I do? So basically, I've just gone to my girlfriend. I've changed her name to Trent Alexander-Arnold, or Trent, in my phone. I've gone, right, just call me 4 or 5 times now. Call me 4 or 5 times. Screenshot it with all the missed calls, caption, I wonder what he wants, as in he's like calling him saying, we've won the league. So it's just like, quick, I need something. And that went mental. And then we got some footage that we were luckily allowed to post after. And then the next day, he'd sent me a video in the evening. I think he was a little bit drunk. And they were all dancing together like this. And I was like, okay, let's save it, because everyone's been posting the same thing. So I waited until the morning, and I posted that video with the caption, "I only came down for breakfast." And it looked like everyone was still going. And then that did really well as well. So those little things where you can just have a bit of fun and not be like, he's brilliant to work with, because he doesn't take himself seriously, and he allows us to be just sort of funny. So that's always a good one for me.
I really like it. And then let's look at things you wish you'd known before joining the industry. Are there any parts of the job which, people should be aware of? Joe, we'll go to you again on this, and then to Tola.
Well, I think it is, as I said before, it is sort of a non-stop thing. You do always have to be on, and always knowing what's going on.
Just being a creative itself, you're doing ridiculous hours. Your brain's constantly going. Combining that with social that never sleeps was just, it's just absolutely, I mean, people always banging on about, stockbrokers, they never sleep. No, we never sleep as well, because it's just nonstop, because you post something and it catches fire somewhere else in the world. By the time you wake up in the morning, your entire inbox is flooded.
How much can you earn in this industry from starting to when you get more established? Who wants to have a go at that one?
Wow, I mean, starting, you can start as literally just I guess a junior social media manager, where you're just scheduling posts and just posting, or you're just coming up with just very small piece of captions or content. And I would say probably anywhere from about 21. And in terms of how high this goes, I mean, I contracted, I think prior to working at 924, I contracted at an agency, and again, I'm just giving context, just to and I think that was my first insight into, I guess, how much money is out there. And I was working on Huawei, you know, so Huawei,
Mobile phone firm.
yeah. I was working on I was there. I saw like the lead designer on that particular account, but I wasn't one of the in-house staff. I was a contractor, and starting salary, I was on £300 a day. So I was taking home £6,000 a month. So that was just mind blowing for me. That wow, like I'm not even the highest guy here, and I'm on this. I wonder what everyone else is on. So it can be as big as, because I know account directors or creative directors, especially working at social media agencies, because they have to think of ideas constantly, and they easily they can be on 150, 180 a year.
Wow. Okay. And another question for you is, you've just finished university, or perhaps you haven't gone to university, you've just finished school. You don't know anybody in the industry. You want to get a job in the industry. What are you going to do to get that job?
Oh, this is perfect. I mean, I say this to everyone. Your account is your portfolio. It's like, demonstrate what you're trying to do in the world on your personal account, because now anyone that applies to work for us, apart from checking LinkedIn, I want to go on your Instagram. I want to see how good are you, because social is not one of those. It's not one of those industry where you can finesse. I mean, Joe said it, his first day, he literally had to think on his feet, and talk to Lewis Hamilton. And I mean, my experience as well at 924 was very, very similar. When my first day, I literally had to come up with X amount of posts, some with videos, some with this, and I just had to deliver on the day. And so there's nowhere to hide. So if you want to find yourself, start practicing with your own account in terms of just captions you write, content you so practice on yourself first. So
and would you so you're cultivating your personal brand, you're I could do this, I'm an 18-year-old, you post funny things, people react, you build a following for yourself, then would you literally go and seek any company and just say, look, I've done this, I want to take care of your social? Who do you approach to get employed?
So I would say, depending on what you're passionate about, because social media is all about interests. But like, make sure if you're into creating content like what you see on, let's say, Lad Bible, don't try and work for some fintech company based in Canary Wharf, because it's just not your natural space. So it's one, just find companies or find brands aligned with where you're working. And there's a lot of companies that you would be surprised struggle with social media, and there's a lot of individuals as well that absolutely struggle, and they're always on the lookout for younger people, especially younger people. I mean, who's gonna hire a 40-year-old to work on a social media strategy? Personally, I think it's a young person's game. So you're actually well positioned just where you are. It's just a case of demonstrate what you can do on your own channel, or just reach out to if you have any friend in music or that run something, ask them to take over their account for 3 months or 6 months, and that's your case study. You can do this on
so interesting.
Follow your passion, as I did. It will work itself out. I've been doing social for 8 years, 9 years, whatever it is. I wouldn't do well at Barclays to be the head of their social, because I just haven't got any interest in that. Even though I know everyone at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I've worked with the biggest sports people, but I couldn't run their account because I just haven't got that interest. Because I've got the interest in sport, it feels like it's I'm a part of whoever I'm working for. So I think just having that passion and that interest, you'll want to work extra hours. I never complain about. Actually, I probably complain more on here than to anyone ever about working weekends and evenings and stuff. But You know, it never bothers me because I'm so interested in what I do. You know, I get to watch football for a living. How good's that?
Final question. Is there anything that served you well in your career, like advice or things that you do that you can share? And also, what is your final piece of advice to someone starting out in their career? Who wants to start us off there, guys?
Well, I got some good advice. Well, actually, I don't know how good it is, but I've lived by it, and I've been okay. It was Lewis Hamilton's manager. He told me it's always easier to say sorry than to ask for permission, and I've taken that. I've got in trouble a few times with footballers where I've just posted without asking them. But I've also found some good results.
I love it. I like it. Tolo, how about you?
So I think my singular advice is, especially with the way social is, just experiment, constantly experiment, and feel free to be yourself, because it's those quirks you have that will end up becoming those things that literally just prop you up. Because there are certain things about how I think or how I work that I used to think, no, I can't bring this into work, but actually bringing that into work is what literally set me apart from.
I follow as broader people as I can on social to get inspiration from them. Like the amount of stuff I've nicked and used on footballers, but it's a totally different audience and it still works, I countless. But I just, copy and take inspiration from artists, from comedians, from, all sorts, videographers and everything. So just take, you can find inspiration and genius anywhere. So you just got to look for it.
I could literally talk about this all day, but I appreciate I've taken up all your time. So we'll leave it there. So all that needs to be said is, if you enjoyed the video, absolutely subscribe. And thanks so much to Tola and Joe for their time. And thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Cheers, James.